Hi, I'm Dr. Ebony Stone, and this is the Black Woman in the Corner Office. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Black Woman in the Corner Office podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ebony Stone, and I have an amazing guest for you today. I know I say that all the time, but really, all of these women that I am interviewing are absolutely amazing. I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Marcia, who I'm going to introduce to you shortly, about a year ago, and I had a great conversation with her, and I'm so excited for her to share her story and her journey. So I'm going to introduce her, but before I do that, you know the truth. If you like what you're hearing, make sure you go down below, hit like, hit subscribe, and share this podcast with others. All right. All right, so let me read the bio. You always got to read the official bio, but then we'll, you know, kind of get real. Okay. So, Dr. Marcea Whitaker is an award winning international keynote speaker, physician, master destiny life coach, author, and radio personality. That's a mouthful, and she does it all so well. As CEO of In Full Bloom Health and Life Coaching, she empowers professional women to break free from their personal prisons and achieve their destiny. She is the founder of Girl Boss Life Academy and Life Coaching for Business Builders, two transformational platforms that equip female entrepreneurs to harness the power of their story, redefine their mindset, build authentic platforms, and chart a clear path to life and business success. Recipient of the Women's Business Coaching Award, named Woman of the Year and International Woman of the Year for 2 consecutive years. Dr. Marcia has been featured in Forbes, ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, CEO Weekly, and USA Today. She hosts Boss Business Strategies Talk Show and is a guest host on Sirius XM. Oh my God, is she not amazing? Welcome, Dr. Marcia.
Hello, Dr. Ebony. It is so good to be here.
Good, good. Thank you for coming. Listen, that is a whole mouthful of stuff. How do you manage to do it all and
That
do it so
is such that's such a great question. And I'm going to say it's a function of capacity.
well?
I remember when I first started into the coaching space, I was doing one-to-one coaching and I had a few clients, and one of the blocks I had was if I opened up and did more clients, I wouldn't have the time. And so I was preventing myself from growing. But once you realize, and one of the things you call it a mantra, you call it a belief, call it whatever, is I have infinite capacity.
Mm,
And so once I embody that, there isn't anything that I can't do, but I just make sure that what I am doing is in alignment, and then it's off to the races.
I love that. Infinite capacity. So that is an amazing mindset to have. And I know you had to develop that. So, like I do with all of my guests, I want to go back to the beginning. As far as you want to go. I don't know, high school, college, first job, wherever you want to go. Back in the beginning, tell us how your career started and kind of walk us
Mhm.
through the journey. Not necessarily what you're doing today, because we're going to get into that, but kind of before the infinite capacity mindset. What was the journey like?
Yeah. So I am a trained physician, and that was, the career. That's what I did. And that wasn't who I was. And I was very clear on that. And I was always very approachable from that. But I was living limited in every other area of my life.
Mm,
And it started with a birthmark, which whenever I'm like want to be on camera, I'd usually put on foundation or whatever. And so you really can't see it so well, but it's a green patch over my forehead and my eye. And what that did is that caused me to make me feel like I was ugly. It made me to hide, made me play small, it made me kind of stay around the people who I know liked and loved me. And I stayed in the comfort zone. And I that's how I went through life.
wow. So
And
one thing,
so it wasn't. Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, 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 go ahead.
I was just going to share with our listeners the
So I
one
was saying I was living.
thing. I think we got a delay here, but that's okay. I was going to share with my
Me
listeners
too, but
that
go ahead.
the one thing that Dr. Marcia and I realized when we were sitting, we were actually sitting in a hotel bar, right? When we had the conversation that we were able to have, is that we both have the same birthmark, right? I have the same birthmark on my forehead, and for me, like I hear you, I didn't even see it because I'm used to it on myself. So it was just like a conversation, like, oh, somebody else with a birthmark, that's cool. And I, kept talking, but it does definitely um, limit kind of your mindset until
Mm,
you conquer it.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And so that was kind of just how I went through life until I had a major life experience where I was in a rough marriage and I wanted to leave for probably 10 years, just didn't know how, felt trapped, felt stuck. And I became a life coach through the process. However, it got to the point where I said, how can I help someone else out of their most difficult situation if I don't tackle my most difficult situation? And in that moment, that's when I hired my own life coach and worked on my exit strategy. And I would love to say that it went off without a hitch, but it was, I couldn't have done it without the coaching. And I ended up leaving, and that was the start of my transformation.
Hmm. So life doesn't work that way, right? There was no way it was going off without a hitch. Life doesn't work that way. It
Right.
throws curveballs, right? But
Hmm.
I want to, if it's okay with you, I want to explore that just a little bit. You became a life coach, helping others out of the situations or through the situations or to achieve their goals while you were still in a position that you didn't want to be in. I want to just say to those listening that if you find yourself in that spot, right? Because I think many of us do. We're helping others and then we're going back to our own situations like, what in the world am I doing? What was that like? How did you feel as you helped those that you were coaching, knowing that you were sitting in that space?
So when you ask the question, it seems like it's a misnomer, but I think that's where a lot of us live, just in different situations. So, for example, if you have a problem at work, but you're able to coach someone else around their problem at work, okay? Or maybe you have financial problems, but you're able to help someone else, even if it's your faith, right? Some days we struggle with our faith, but then we spend our energy helping someone else with their faith. And we just have to, I had to recognize, you know what? I'm coaching other people because I can't get myself out of my own stuff. But I had to say,
Mm,
hey, you know what? This is not working. I can only go but so far in this situation. And even when I look at the things that I'm able to do now, there, me being married, and I don't want to sound bad, but I've been able to do some things, a lot of things that I would not have been able to do if I was a wife and I had wife responsibilities and me feeling like I can't leave for the weekend, or look, I can't leave for the weekend 3 weekends in a row.
mhm.
Okay.
Right.
There's we wouldn't do that. And then I tend to hang out with guys in the industry. And when you go solo and you're hanging out with guys, now that also can cause a problem in your household if everybody's not, on the same page. So it was inconsistent with my relationship, my marriage was inconsistent with what I'm doing now. And I think it was part of the process of kind of getting through it and kind of moving and grooving in life.
Yeah, what I hear is that you invested in yourself. You invested in a coach. I think that it's important. My very best friend is a psychologist, and she always says, "I think every therapist should have a therapist." You
Oh,
know, I think every coach should have a coach. I have come
coach,
to at least one of your
coaches.
courses. You said
Look,
what?
coaches.
Yes, coaches, right? I'm a big believer in surrounding myself with people that can help me. I have a
Mhm,
therapist. I talk about that openly. You know, my book, The Power of the Pause, is all about how my therapist helped me through my journey. I have worked with coaches in the past. I think it's important to invest in yourself. So
mhm.
it's clear you see the value because you don't become a physician without investing in yourself. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, and I hear so many stories, right? You start out in one career and you end up in another. What was that transition like going from a physician, and I mean, you're still a physician, but focusing on coaching and the things, the entrepreneurial pursuits that you're doing now? What made you make that decision, and what was that transition like?
Yeah. So I've been a physician for, I want to say 35 years. And what I noticed is when I was in clinical full time, it was something I was good at, but it wasn't something, it felt good to help people. But at the end of the day, it wasn't that thing that made, bells and whistles and I could do this for the rest of my life. It was more of, you know what? I can't do this for the rest of my life. And I need to find that thing that fills me and energizes me. And so what I ended up doing is I started, it took me 10 years to find out what it was. I'm kind of creative. And so I looked into some other options. I knew I was also a pastor's wife. So I spent 15 years just coaching people informally. I didn't really realize what I was doing, but I have that experience. And so I was like, well, how can I I get somebody to pay me for me to do what I do on Sunday morning, right? Or Sunday night or Saturday night or whatever night it is, Wednesday Bible study, whatever it is, how can that work? And it led me to counseling. And I was like, you know what? I've been through medical school, residency, all this stuff. I'm not going into any more school. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So then I found health coaching.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that makes sense. I'm a doctor, health coaching. All right. But then when I got into it, I got the same feeling I got when I was seeing patients.
Mm,
I was like, this isn't it. And the program that I went in, my certification program, had a life coaching track. And
okay.
once I started life coaching, I was like, there it is, there it is. And so what I say to help bridge the gap is that I am internal medicine board certified. And so I'm an internist. And so I help heal the body from the inside out. As a life coach, I help heal the body starting with the mind from the
Mm.
inside out. So that's the intersection.
That's beautiful. Listen, one thing that we won't even, it's a whole nother podcast episode, is being a preacher's wife. I'm a PK. So listen, that's a whole nother story. We probably should do a whole series on preacher's wives. Listen, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was a preacher's wife and now a pastor. Baby, let me tell you. So you said Sunday night, Saturday night, Wednesday. When you are a part of the pastor's family, it is 24/7. It is not on Sunday morning. It is all the time.
Let the church say amen to that.
Yes, yes. So you made the transition. You're healing the body, starting with the mind, and now you're feeling good. Um, internally. And I didn't know you during that time where you're like, I couldn't do this my entire life. But I can tell you that what radiates off of you since I met you a year ago, this is definitely where you need to be, right?
Mhm.
I sat through one of your boot camps and I remember the conversation like, this is absolutely amazing. So thank you for making the transition. So many times we don't make the transition because the world has decided what success should look like. So you're a doctor, you're successful, that's what you should do, right? They made that decision for you. What advice would you have for someone who is sitting in a space where it looks like success from the outside? The world has said, "Hey, you're a doctor, you're an engineer, you're a lawyer, you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is, right? You're whatever it is." But on the inside, it doesn't feel like success. What would you say to that?
Mm. I would submit that this happens to most women. I can't speak to the men, but at some point, especially if you look at the professional careers, okay, I think
Mhm.
everybody has that moment where you're like, you know what? I beat myself up. I bruised my body. I've my credit is shot because I've got all of these student loans. I've I made a decision 12 years ago to go on this path, and I'm just now finishing. I've sacrificed relationships. I don't know how to just sit and breathe and be normal, right?
Mm,
And so if one, it takes awareness of kind of where you are and uh, what the mind is, right? What's the mind saying? What's the body saying? What's the spirit saying? And then you have to decide what you're going to do next. And you mentioned that I am the founder of Girl Boss Life Academy. And the thing that premise was, I help you break out of your personal prison. And usually it's the prison that you put yourself in. And there are three steps. The first is to discover who you really are. I was 50 before someone even asked me, "Who are you?" And I was like, "What you
mm.
mean? I'm a wife, I'm a mother." No, 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 no. Who are you really? Discovering who you are. Then there's the deciding what you want. When we I think we live in a space where, at least I did, where I was always trying to live up to someone else's expectations.
Yep.
And I call it, I was living life using someone else's brain. What
Mm,
would they think? What would they say? Would they be upset? Would they be pleased? Would she, like me? Whatever, right? And I had to decide for myself. I, even if I choose to do it a different way, at least I have made a decision for myself. And then you can edit it if you want. But a lot of times we don't even make that decision. We're like, whatever you want, whatever y'all want to do, whatever. And so I was just giving my power away little by little until it was all gone. And then the third part, last part, is delivering on the destiny. And that's that thing, that piece, that destination, that purpose driven piece that you're called here for. I always say there are people you um, who you are called to care for, and those who you're called to serve. The young people who you birth, those are who you're called to care for. The in-laws or whomever else, your neighbors, they're who you're called to care for. But the people you're called to serve is uniquely connected to your purpose, and usually is different. And so we spend all our energy, especially moms, wives, we spend all of our time serving people we were meant to care for. And then we don't have any energy to do the heart centered stuff for the people we are here, who we are called to serve.
Oh, we, as my daddy used to say, that'll preach, right? That'll preach. That's a good one. Yes. So you, mm, I'm gonna have to sit with that for a minute. But you mentioned that you were 50 before someone asked you, who are you? Right. And I think about kind of my journey and some other people that I talked to. And I feel like there's something about getting close to that 50 age, right? Approaching it or being right around that. I feel like something just happens, right? I don't know. I mean, you're a physician. Maybe you can tell me. Maybe it's menopause. Maybe it's, I don't know. Something happens in the brain where I feel like a lot of people just start deciding, I'm not living life on somebody else's terms anymore. I'm gonna live life on my own terms. And if you don't like it, you don't like it, right? Um, so I don't know. We can talk about that. I don't know if there's any real science behind that, but I know a lot of people that seem to approach that age and go, "Yeah, I'm not doing this anymore." Yeah.
You know what? I think it's data collection.
Mm,
I think it is there. I mean, there is that space where you're like, you know what? I've tried it that way. I've tried it this way. I've I've tried to flip and change who I was. Now there's a realization of what have I been doing? I've been cooking and cleaning and driving people around and paying for school, private school, tutoring, basketball practice, new shoes. And I've been sacrificing, thinking that, okay, I'm going to be able to get to a place where now I can go back to doing what I was doing before I was married and kids. And then the people act like you haven't done a thing, and they talking back to you, they giving you attitude, they throwing the shoes that you just paid for. Look, you, you forewent something and sacrificed, and what you just bought them, they wore it once, and it's sitting in the hallway, and you're like, hold on,
right.
something ain't right here. And so you're like, you know what? And I think it's the learning of no one's coming to save you. No one's going to say, hey, Dr. Ebony, hey, baby, you've been doing a good job. I am going to, just take the day off, take the week off, go on a vacation. No one's going to say that because they see you work and they're like, that's what mom does. So go,
I was gonna
mom, do
say
a mom.
they don't realize you need to be saved. Listen, those shoes in the hallway, like you said, who my son is he's a musician, right? His band director decided that they will all have white band sweaters. He goes to an all boys school. Who makes that decision? They are literally all white. Sweater cost over $400, and I found it in the trunk of the car. I almost lost my mind.
All the
Yes, yes. Like, are you kidding me right now? What? Oh my goodness. Yeah, not pretty. It is in a on a nice hanger in the front hall closet, next to the Letterman's jacket, right? But no, they don't realize that you need to be saved, right? Or that you need this space or time, and we create that, right? We I've looked back, as I'm sure you have, at how I raised my kids, and I love being able to give them the things, like you said, paying for private school, all of the dance class, the music lessons, all of the things. But the one thing that if I had to do all over again, I would do is care for me in the process because I didn't do that, right? And you talked about it. You get to a point where you're not just caring for the folks that you're here to care for. You're caring for them, sacrificing for them, serving them, and then giving up yourself, uh, and to a point where you have to go and find yourself again, right? And that's not their fault. That's our fault.
Yeah. And so the thing that I think the answer, now that we've talked through it, at 50, we face our longevity
Yep.
and we're like, hold on. I am halfway through my life, or more than halfway through my life. And if I don't start operating and running a different race, I'm going to find myself doing the same thing that I've been doing. I remember I left my marriage when I was 49, 49 and 3 weeks. So my thing was I could not go into 50 the same way I had been living 30 to 49.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
And
I can relate. I can relate. And even when it's not, um, so in my case, right, it wasn't like it wasn't horrible. It just wasn't where I wanted to be. It just wasn't where I wanted to be. Um, so fast forward, right? Let's not dwell on that. Both, and might I say, we look great for over 50, right? Yes, ma'am. So fast forward, and you are now doing all of the things that I couldn't even, quite frankly, usually I don't print a piece of paper. I was like, I can't even remember everything, right? So I had to print it out. That's got to feel absolutely amazing. So talk to us about not I don't think you can tell us everything, but talk to us about the things that you're doing now, what's coming up for you, where people can find you, all of those types.
Yeah. So one of the things that we talk about in this business is being a triple threat, and that is being a speaker, being an author, and being a coach. And I put a little spin on it. I'm like a quadruple threat. You can throw in being a physician, and then you can also throw in being a radio personality. And all of those things just make me, I'm going to say, more powerful, but it more so it is just we're taught to increase our credibility, right? Increase our skill set. And so that's what I do. And I think they all kind of flow in together. You can't really do one. Once you do one, then you kind of do the other. And the thing that I try to do is to do everything with excellence.
Yeah.
And so, and then what happens after you have gotten to, gotten, I'm not gonna say there, but you're able to do those things, then opportunities start, come your way. And so I was able to, be a guest host on Sirius XM because I had done the work of, doing a different show. Was able to, once I did an anthology with someone else, I'm like, you know what? I think I can do that. And I became a visionary author twice and have a solo book. And, I'm International Woman of the Year because someone reached out and asked me to come and speak. And I did that. And then I did it again. And then I'm on my way. I'm supporting an organization in Nigeria, and I'm bringing speakers on the stage to teach, folks that are in Abuja. I've spoken to folks in Liberia and Cameroon and beyond, and so it's just one thing kind of that leads to the next. Some of the things some of the core things I do is the session that you came to, the Create Your Stage Bootcamp, which I run on a regular basis. So if you want to jump into that, you can go to drmarcea.com, and I spell my first name Marcea. So you can find me and go ahead and jump in. And it's a free virtual workshop where I hope you to harness the power of your story, help you to build an authentic platform, and help you to create a pathway to business and life success.
Yes, and let me tell you, that boot camp is amazing. I will tell you that because of that boot camp, I was like, "Wait a minute. I'm sleeping on AI. I gotta figure this out." Right? Let me figure it out. So many gems that I took away from that. So thank you so much. So listen, I appreciate you being here. Love all of the things. So I got two. I got two more questions for you. The first question are there any last gems that you would like to leave for our listeners? Any last words maybe or something that we didn't talk about that you would like to say?
Yeah. There are two beliefs that have gotten me here. Two major ones. The first one is that I am my X factor. I am the X factor. And we always think that other people have the it thing, right? Beyonce has the it factor. Oprah has the it factor. But I am my own it factor. I'm the X factor. And the second part is I get to create my own experience in the world. If you
Yes.
don't like where you are, then you have the ability to change it.
Mhm.
You're waiting for someone else to do it? No. If you want something different, you create it. Those children that are running you ragged and you want something different, you have to change the atmosphere. You can't wait for someone else to change it for you. You want to be saved? Save yourself.
Yes, I love it. You want to be saved? Save yourself. Okay, so here's the last question, the question that I have asked all of my guests. Let's say someone says, Dr. Marcia, International Woman of the Year, 2 times in a row. We are so impressed. We want to make a movie of your life. What would the title be? And who would play you?
Title of my life is would be Becoming Fabulous and Free.
Becoming fabulous and free. Do you know who you would want to play you?
Who would play me? Oh gosh. Mm, one of my favorite actresses is who's the one who played in Love and Basketball? Sanaa Lathan.
Sanaa Lathan. Mhm.
I think I'll take her.
I can see that. I can actually see that. Yeah. So Sanaa, if you're listening, there's a movie
Okay.
coming out that we need
There
you
is.
to be.
There is. Right, right, right. It doesn't pay much, but you can.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. So, listen, thank you so much. Guys, if you haven't taken anything away from this conversation, please take away that you are your own X factor. You are the it factor. And you absolutely determine the experience you have in this world. Dr. Marcia, thank you so much for being here. And to all of you out there, until next time, keep spreading that black girl magic on everything you do. All right. Bye.